Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about issue number 6 of Uncanny X-Men From the Ashes, written by Gail Simone and art by David Marquez. But before we dive into the story, I want to ask you a favor. If you enjoy this video, please leave a like and a comment to help the channel grow. With that said, this issue opened 6 years ago at Calico's family private estate in Virginia. When we get there, we see a young Becca sitting down, getting her hair combed by her mother. During their interaction, Becca told her mother that she was thinking about going to school in hopes of making friends because their new groundskeeper mentioned that his daughter attends a nice school in town. Now this didn't sit well with the mother of the house because this woman is a psychopath. In fact, she wanted her daughter to stay young and in her home so much that she called and made up a crazy story just to get the groundskeeper fired immediately. And when I say crazy story, I mean this story was so crazy that it could ruin the poor groundskeeper's entire life. So, after a little bit of Becca's upbringing is brought to light, we fast forward to the current day at the Haven following the events of the previous issue. And on this page we get a small narration from Rogue saying, the new kids are still a mystery, mostly, but they have been pretty well behaved up to this point. Because on this day, Becca wasn't feeling it at all, and could be compared to Sabretooth on a bad day, and to make it worse, Becca has the power to back it up. Because when it comes to Becca, she was so traumatized by her mother that she freaked out over Mr. St. Jr. stating that all kids who are staying in his home have to go to school. And given how crazy her mother was, Becca just kept saying that she wasn't going to go, and no one could make her. So in an attempt to de-escalate the situation, Wolverine tried to talk her down while standing in the worst spot possible, for on the next page, Ember let loose a mean double kick to Logan's chest. That sent him flying into the distance. Now with that act of aggression on the table, Rogue then jumped into action and instead of knocking some sense into Becca, she just chose to talk sternly to her. And to my surprise, that was all it took to put Becca in place. Now as all this was playing out, Jitter asked Death Dream what was going on, to which he replied nonchalantly that Calico had killed Mr. Logan. But of course, our hero survived, so with the help of Jubilee, Wolverine was helped back to his feet as we get another narration from Rogue saying that Harvey X and Sarah Gaunt both tried to warn them. For one of the kids here at Haven might be the ENDLING, the last mutant on Earth, the one who watches as every mutant dies. Now, at first, Calico was last on her list of suspects, but after that outburst, Rogue couldn't help but bump her up a bit. With that explained, Rogue was about to give her a piece of her mind, but that was when Gambit stepped in and said let him deal with it. Following Rogue taking a step back, we then jump over to Calico and Gambit walking together. Gambit points out that he understands that she has been hurt, but see, they aren't there to continue that cycle. So when people look into Gambit's eyes, he can't help nor change what they see, and over time, he learns that he doesn't need to be anything other than himself. Now with Gambit's words hitting home, Calico realized that just because her mother said she couldn't be a mutant doesn't mean she was somehow not what she was. And in a touching moment, Calico for the first time stopped trying to be someone she wasn't and fully embraced who and what she is. Now after Becca's flight, she landed and went on to show a level of happiness not previously seen. After Becca announced that she was indeed a mutant and was going to school, our two lovebirds shared a kiss over their latest victory. And on a side note, I like how both Rogue and Gambit came to the conclusion that they will have to start seeing them, the kids, as their own children. Because up to this point, these kids have no one else in their lives, outside of our lovebirds. And as their new parental figures, Rogue and Gambit would do anything to give the kids what they need, which includes schooling. So as they stood at the bus stop, Calico had to say bye to Ember, and in return, Chelsea handed her a stuffed dinosaur to serve as her emotional support item. Following that act of kindness, the kids got on the bus, and almost instantly, someone started to make fun of Jitter, which was something Valentine couldn't allow to happen. So right before Valentine could throw a punch, Jitter stopped him and said it wasn't worth it. Following that not-so-warm welcoming, on the next page, we see how Mr. St. Jr. gives Jubilee and Nightcrawler a grocery list, and as for Logan, he goes on to ask the lovebirds for a favor. But before we get to hear what it was, we then hop back over to Ransom and Death Dream having a small conversation. And during their exchange, Ransom points out how Jitter's feelings were deeply hurt, and then he questions if Death Dream thinks about anyone other than himself. With that question posed, we then transition back over to Kurt and Jubilee walking into town and making their way into a local shop. And as they were shopping, Kurt suddenly noticed something going on outside, which prompted him to teleport away without a single word. Now usually this wouldn't be a problem, but in this situation, it left Jubilee alone as the barrel of a gun found itself pressed against her head. As that was going down, on the next page, we then see a massive truck moments away from hitting a small child. But lucky for them, Kurt teleported there just in time to save the child. So with the kid saved, we then hop back over to Wolverine saying that he had some army friends that were really close to him, and one day they made a vow on a certain bottle of fine tequila, and the vow was the last one above ground gets to keep it. As that was being explained, Rogue gave us a narration saying she still has a little of Harvey's power in her brain, so because of that, she knew Logan wasn't himself, and the only problem was she didn't know exactly why. But whatever it is, it pains him pretty deep down. So after Logan explained the story behind the bottle, Rogue then went on to say she thought he was mad at her, and she thought he didn't want to touch her. But it turns out his heart was just old-fashioned broken. Now as Rogue hugs Logan, we then jump back to Jubilee putting the Dr. Soldier on his ass. So with that situation dealt with, out from the front door emerged Toad, Blob, and Siren. And by the looks of it, they have been tortured to the point where they rather serve the prison and capture other mutants than to have to return themselves. So with that battle about to kick off, we then transition over to Kurt saving the child as her mother approaches Nightcrawler. Now at first, I thought the mother was going to go off on Kurt, but to Nightcrawler and my surprise, the mother was extremely thankful and said he is no demon, but rather an angel. And after the woman places a small kiss on Kurt's cheek, she tells him to run as an officer rushes across the street with his weapon drawn. So of course, Kurt did as he was told and teleported back to where he left Jubilee, and to his surprise, she was nowhere to be found. Following that, we then jumped over to Logan explaining his request saying he was a little busted up inside because if he drank this bottle, then it would be an ending to another chapter of a long novel. But if he buried this bottle again with two people he trusted. Before Logan could finish, Gambit said he would be honored, but Rogue quickly said she wanted no part of that. And her reasoning behind it was that Logan's body is nearly immortal and can't get hurt by man or beast. But Logan's mind and heart is all too human, which would explain his PTSD. On the next page, we then pick up with the kids arriving at the school and standing before the principal. And while they were there, the principal told them to keep a low profile and everyone would remain safe as he flashed the midnight M. So with the advice given, we then see how throughout the entire day at school, people kept messing with the kids. But that was going to be quickly corrected as Ransom and Death Dream cornered the boys in the bathroom and started to teach them a lesson. But while that was going down, Calico received a letter stating that she needed to go to the gym about an assignment. And when she got there, things were not as the message said it would be. For on the last page, Calico found herself surrounded by the prison soldiers, and before she could react, the guard hit her with an electrical rod, effectively knocking her out. And on the last panel, we see the warden excited about her guards bringing in her prize target. So with that said, this issue of Uncanny X-Men comes to an end. But anyway, down in the comment section below, let me know your thoughts about this issue and what predictions you could have moving forward. So with that established, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.